Hi designers, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a pop art styled image of ice cream based on the work of Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein. Andy Warhol is known for his iconic images of Campbell's soup cans, as well as his prints of figures from popular culture like Marilyn Monroe. And Roy Lichtenstein is known for his work with this sort of comic book feel to it. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need your image of an ice cream cone. And what you want to do is save it to your desktop and then open the image in Photoshop. If your image is color like mine, you will want to change it to black and white. But the first thing we're going to go do is resize our image. So I'm going to image size, and I want to make sure that the constraints are on. So that's that little lock right here. If you see the bar above it and below it, that means that the constraints are on. And what this does is it keeps the image proportional when you resize it, so it won't get stretched out really tall or really wide. Now you're going to change the width of the image to 1000, and then you don't need to do anything to the height. It will change as you change the width, and the height of your photo will vary just depending on the size of your photo. You also want to change the resolution to 72. Then press OK. And to turn it to black and white, you can use a variety of methods. My favorite method is going to Image, Adjustments, and black and white. Now, if the black and white is not showing up, if it's grayed out, that might be because you're not in RGB mode. So if you're not able to get to one of these adjustments you want to use, check the mode. And in this case, we want to be working in RGB color. So I'm going back to Image, Adjustments, black and white. And this gives me control over the lightness and darkness of the image. So for this project that we are giving this sort of pop art feel, we will be using halftones, and the halftones make the image darker. So we want to have an image that is really high key to work with. That means that all of the values are on the lighter end of the value scale. I'm pushing the blues a little darker to make the background kind of recede and be darker so that it's easier for me to select the ice cream cone out of it, and so that I have some contrast between the ice cream cone and the background. So I've changed it to black and white. I'm pressing OK. And then I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast. I'm going to make it a bit brighter. And I'm going to bump up the contrast. I want to still have some of that details showing the texture of the image. If I made it too light, then the halftone pattern would not work very well. Okay, so the next step is to duplicate the layer. Again, there's more than one way to do this, but I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard as I click on the background layer over on the Layers panel. Duplicate the layer, and we want to rename the layer, and we're going to call it halftone. Now, if you forget to do that when you create the layer, that's okay. You can always do a slow double click. You can see down there on the layers panel when you click on the name of that layer, and that allows you to rename it. Now we are going to select the object. If you want to take this project a step further and learn about a more advanced tool, which is the mask tool, you can use the quick mask tool, which is located on the bottom of your toolbar. This is a great option for those of you who want to do more and learn a bit more about Photoshop. If you would like to do this, I suggest you look under Unit 2.5 and find the link to the Adobe Select and Mask workspace. There's about a 5-minute video there that will help you out. I'm going to go ahead and use the quick selection tool to select my ice cream cone. Again, you can see that The background is pretty contrasty, and so that is making it pretty easy to use the quick selection tool. Then I'm going to go to select, inverse. I have the background selected now. I'm going to press delete. And if we were to turn off the visibility of the background layer, because we are working on the halftone layer right now, you can see that I deleted everything in that background area. I'm going to press Command D on my keyboard to deselect that work. And now we can go ahead and work on that halftone pattern. So what you'll want to do is, again, make sure you are in the halftone layer, and you're going to go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and within the Filter Gallery, we want to be on Sketch. Let me resize my workspace here. Now, you can see that the dots are showing up in this reddish color. That is because I did not have the default selected. So if you have a different color besides white and black showing up, you'll want to press cancel. And you can always set it to the default using that little black and white box there. And then again, you want to go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and you will choose Sketch, and then you're going to choose Halftone Pattern. From here, you can play with the size and the contrast. Most of you will want to use a size between 2 and 4. I'm going to go with 2 for mine. And then you can play around with the contrast and see what looks best for yours. This is where you get to use your eye as the designer. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to press OK. And we want to make a few adjustments from here. You might notice that the halftone pattern looks a little bit gray, right? We have white, black, and some grays. We want to make the pattern crisper, and so to do this, we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, and then we are going to do Smart Sharpen. Okay, and I suggest bumping this all the way up to 500. You can also reduce the noise in the sharpening. So I press OK. And then we are going to change the mode of our layer to multiply. So we're going to go to the Layers panel. Sorry, got a little lost there. So here we are on the layers panel, and right now it's in normal, and we are going to switch it to multiply. Again, this is just making it a bit brighter. And this also makes kind of the layer below it a bit darker. Okay. Now we will make a new layer. Remember, you can go to this by going to Layer, New Layer, or by pressing the New Layer button at the bottom of the Layers panel. So I'm going to press it here, and then I'm going to place it below my halftone layer. Now, to choose the colors that you want to add to your pop artwork, you are going to choose from a list of well-known pop artists. I chose a work by David Hockney. He's a British painter, and I'm going to select the colors that I'm including in my image from his work. So I'm choosing from his color palette. You want to have at least 5 colors to have a really successful piece in your finished ice cream cone. So I'm really interested in this pink color that he's using, and I'm going to go on my toolbar. It is the 6th tool down is the eyedropper, and I'm going to select a pink. I pick that out. Then I go back to my ice cream cone, so let's pull that up. And I'm going to use the paint bucket to fill the background. Cool. Now I'm going to work with the paintbrush. You can use other tools like the pencil tool to color your work, but I'm going to stick with the paintbrush for mine. And again, I go back to that work by David Hockney that I've chosen, and I'm only going to use colors from this piece. So I'll use the eyedropper tool again to pick out this lime green. And instead of using the paint bucket tool, I'm going to work a little bit more slowly with the paintbrush to fill in my piece. Now, it's up to you. You can go outside the edges a bit if you want to give it a different feel. We see in Andy Warhol's work that he often did that on purpose. So he was not creating those portraits of Marilyn Monroe digitally. They are actual physical screen prints, but sometimes he purposefully misaligned the colors, as you see here, to give it an interesting feel. Okay. And you will colorize your ice cream cone. So I'll go back to my finished piece. You can see I've used more than 5 colors from David Hockney's work, and I have a great piece. Good luck with your work.